let's talk about how to transform your dining room from a very dated palette into something that is bright, fresh, and ready for entertaining. I'm gonna share my top tips. First, redecoration. I know we talk a lot about renovation and not everybody is in the market for a renovation. I think some of the biggest impact things that happened in this room were because of decorating as opposed to renovating, especially when we talk about the color palette. Look at that salmon ceiling, the salmon floors, and the moss green walls. There was lots of it that was fun, but in the grand scheme of our total renovation, it wasn't working. The main element and the powerful impact of what happened in this room is all about paint. Paint, 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 and paint, and new floors. When it comes to your space, I want you to think about how redecorating could help you achieve a look you love in a space that you already own. Reuse. The jumping off point for this entire dining room was about reusing some key elements. First of all, we kept the dining room where it was, but more importantly, we kept two very important pieces that came with this cottage. One was the general store counter, and two was the corner cabinet. If you work with what you've got, it helps you have a launch pad. We thought about the flow of this space and how to make it work better. We actually moved the general store counter. We loved this piece from the second we first saw the cottage. It has incredible character. Think about this. This is a store counter that is well over 100 years old. It has lots of stories and it will continue to be an anchor here in this cottage. I think one of the biggest trends you're gonna see coming up is people embracing antique furniture. For so long, it's been about contemporary, contemporary, contemporary. We are headed to embracing the past, using antique pieces that tell great stories, are functional, fabulous, and often very, very affordable. So keep your eyes open. Reuse what you've got whenever possible. There's a dry sink that was part of Alex's family from the time he was a little kid. A great place to look for items like this is Facebook Marketplace. You can convert it into a vanity. You can use it as a storage or a display piece. It's great in a front entryway. Another reused piece is the mirror that's hanging above the dry sink. Pull items from different places and reuse them and think about how you can give them new life. Since we're talking about antique pieces, repeat is a key criteria for success when decorating. If you're looking at this dining room, you have definitely by now noticed I have different wood tones going. It starts with the wood tone of the pieces I was reusing. The existing antiques we had have a more warm tone to them, but I didn't want everything to be that color. So I anchored the floor in a much lighter, natural oak. The key to mixing and matching wood tones, repeat them. I have 4 elements that are one wood tone. The corner cabinet, the general store counter, the dry sink, and the kitchen counter stools all have that same kind of caramel antique pine tone. Then we have a secondary wood tone. The floor, the lighting, both in the dining room and above the kitchen island, the dining table, and a third sort of subtone is the dining chairs, the mirror, and the vintage bamboo console. You need at least 2, if not 3 of a kind to make it look consistent and cohesive. Next key to success in this room, reimagine. We had a dining room with a flat ceiling. It was low and it was loud, so we did some demolition. And I would rather have the space, the light, and a less echoey environment than to have that dropped ceiling. Next, rethink the rules. Dining rooms always seem to have one big statement, important light fixture, a chandelier, something that anchors the table. We have always had a dining room at a cottage that operates by candlelight. And one thing that's so important to us is always having candlelit dinners. I wanted all of the lighting in this cottage to have glow, to have a moody, soft, subtle ambiance to it. Instead of one big fixture, I decided to go with a set of 3. And they're not even over the table, they're over the general store counter. So they act as an anchor to illuminate the most important piece of furniture that we have in this room. Let's talk about these fixtures. Aren't they fun? I found these on Etsy. These basket lights were hand woven in Marrakesh. I think they're neat because they look like fishing baskets. They're light, translucent, casual, rustic. They tie exactly perfectly to the color of the basket lights that are hanging above the kitchen island. This is important. If you are living in an open concept space and you can see a number of light fixtures in different areas, they need to be cohesive. And if they're not going to be the exact same style, they should be the same color palette. So that's a tip to keep in mind. Know your lifestyle, know your preferences, and design for that. In the case of this dining room, it originally came with a dining table that only seated 8 people. This cottage is big and roomy, and most importantly, we like to have a crowd. So a dining table for 8 didn't suit us. Be practical. I chose chairs that are lightweight. You can see through the back. The caning tied into the caning on the vintage kitchen counter stools. They are classic because of the caning, but look, they're contemporary because of the line. You can fit a lot of them around this table, and all I did was recover the seats in a really affordable fabric. This is what's called a slip seat. One of the things to consider when you're in the market for dining chairs is what's involved if my dining chairs need a little sprucing up. In the case of these, all you need to do is staple on some new fabric. I decided to embrace pattern. Think about what pattern can do for you. If you go with a solid color fabric and you get the teeniest, tiniest stain on it, it's going to be visible to everyone. If you lean on a pattern fabric to help you with your decorating scheme, it will be far more forgiving. This also ties into the rug. What the dining room rug does here is it really helps anchor the space. This is a huge open concept room. We tried at the beginning going without a rug because there is nothing more easy breezy and practical than just being able to sweep under the dining table. However, it felt echoey and it kind of felt unfinished. This is natural material, a hand-woven jute rug with a fabulous pattern, which is a modern interpretation of a classical design element. A super casual material in a muted color palette of subtle naturals. Look at how these colors all tie together. The rug has the warmer caramel tone from our antique pieces. It has the lighter tone of our floors and our furniture. And it has the blue accents that are in our living room. Why do you want a patterned rug for your dining room? If you get one tiny spill or stain, no one's gonna know. Pattern is key because it helps you have more flexibility. And when it comes to cottage life, you want solutions that are easy maintenance, that look good and are long wearing. Try and make a patterned fabric or a rug the first thing you choose, and then use the palette to tie everything together. This rug was the final touch, but it is the best unifying element for everything else. When it comes to painting and selecting that all-important perfect shade, I want you to think about warming up your white. And when you look at the walls behind me, you might think, Sarah, that's white. It's actually not white. This color is called Winter Bird, and it is a soft putty color. During the day, it reads like white, but in the evening, it's a lot warmer. So as soon as we dim the lights, light the candles, you get a much softer envelope. If you're gonna splurge on one thing in a room, make sure it is a critical element. In this case for us, it was our dining table. It's made by the exact same people who made our dining room table at Starlight Farm. They are made from more than 100-year-old salvaged barn boards. The one at Starlight Farm is based on an 18th century Flemish design, so you can see this sort of curly-Q base, and the one here is far more streamlined, a little bit more contemporary, hand-hewn, and they are the scene setter for where we hold all of our dinners. I love it. Last tip, any decorating project you are embarking on, treasure hunting is where it all happens. It's the sourcing and the finding that makes it fun. Is the teddy bear paper extra? I went to an outdoor flea market, an antique sale back in the spring where I found this big brass bucket, and this can be a catch-all or it can be a giant wine cooler if we're entertaining. It's a sculptural element. Never underestimate how important all of the things you have are. Treasure hunting is my happy place, and when you get all those treasures and you bring them together, that's your decorating story. Have you learned anything? Did you get some good ideas? I like hearing your feedback. What do you like? What would you like to hear more of? Share it with me below. Turn on notifications and subscribe so you never miss our next video, because we got lots more to come.